You're listening to Veg Your Best. There has never been a more important time to be vegan. At Veg Your Best, I want to help you. I want to help you limit and eliminate the consumption of animal products without feeling deprived, overwhelmed, or unsupported, even if no one you know is vegan. My name's Michelle Olander. I'm a life coach, and I know that if I could go vegan in my 50s, with all my excuses, I know you can start moving in that direction too. Veg your best, and there's nothing you can't do. Episode 174, New Year, New Vegan. Happy New Year, kids. Last episode of Veg Your Best for 2023 or 2023. You know, I've heard more people using 2000 lately rather than 20. So is that because I listen to a lot of British podcasts, or is that everywhere? Or did I make it up? Full disclosure, okay, you're already hearing the issue. The sound is different today. I personally might even be more wobbly and all over the place in today's pod. That's because I'm in a Courtyard by Marriott. All I have is my phone. I don't have a microphone or a stand for my microphone. So I'm trying to move as little as possible so as not to give Charlie too many issues. It's about 5 a.m. as I start putting this together, and I'm in the process of driving the car down from Massachusetts to spend Christmas in Florida and get some extra time with my son and his family who live in Florida as they get ready for their newest baby. But the plan for today's podcast was to be New Year, New Vegan. So I knew that part. And historically, lots of people start all kinds of different things in the new year, different ways of eating and drinking, or not eating and not drinking after the holidays. And for the past, I think this year it's 10 years, Veganuary, which is Vegan January. Veganuary has been a growing thing. And you may not know this, but when you're a card-carrying member of the vegan community, did you know we had cards? Hemp paper, printed with vegetable and acorn inks. So if you're a card-carrying member of the tofu-eating wokerati, you hear all sorts of opinions about Veganuary. And one criticism is that it's too much about food and not enough about ethics and the systemic horrors in industrial animal agriculture. And I think the main reason for criticism is the view that there shouldn't be this kind of try before you buy label on going vegan, because the process with Veganuary is you pledge to choose vegan for 31 days. And of course, the hope is you'll stick around after that. But if you don't, no harm, no foul. You can go back to having a nice steak as soon as February hits without losing face with the people you've told about Veganuary, or the restaurant or the store that you said, no, I need vegan options. So you don't have to be embarrassed or have to explain anything to anyone. And there are arguments also that January might not be the most sustainable choice as a month for Veganuary, since in large parts of the world, January is one of the months when a choice of fresh produce is really quite scarce, and the produce itself, when it's there, is rather expensive. And so Veganuary tends to force retailers to import more food from across the world, meaning more transportation from further afield, creating more pollution. So you get that argument. And of course, many people argue that Veganuary has turned into more of a marketing trend, more of a greenwashing, virtue signaling event, and an opportunity for celebrities to get a little extra coverage as they take the Veganuary pledge. So that means more of a social media event rather than a real commitment to some sort of change. And of course, I've also heard that many of the fast food restaurant chains, especially in the UK, are offering more veganuary, vegan choices. I have not seen that in the U.S. yet, and I'm wondering if you do. So anyway, some see it as a way for corporate food companies to use veganuary as an opportunity to attract customers, enlarge their base by offering these new vegan-friendly, splashy options which don't stick around, which in some ways sounds sort of great and win-win, but it doesn't really have anything to do with companies making lasting, ethically responsible or sustainable changes. So I include this little thumbnail discussion of the controversy of veganuary to begin with, because maybe some of you don't even realize anything like a vegan January challenge could possibly be controversial, especially to vegans. Now, others of you I know are thinking, yep, just one more way our society has figured out how to annually tell us in January what we're doing wrong, how we're not measuring up, how we're not good enough, not healthy enough, and that we should be dissatisfied with ourselves and buy something. And because I'm a Gemini, I guess I see some truth to all of it. And it reminds me a little bit, it reminds me of when my very Puritan mother was super livid about the bottle bill. Do you guys know that term, the bottle bill? I don't know if it's everywhere. In the United States, where I have lived, it's a bottle redemption program. So we call it the bottle bill, and it required an additional fee on beverage containers like bottles and cans when you purchase them. And these fees work like a deposit and are usually, I guess they're usually recovered by the individuals who bring them back to recycle the containers. And it was to get people to make that extra effort to recycle and to keep glass, which is very recyclable, out of the waste stream, or from filling up the side of the road with trash. And short grandma vent alert, honest to God, you guys, I pick up trash on my walks every single day. People are still throwing out bottles all day, every day, even in deepest suburbia, including those nips, those tiny single-serving alcohol bottles everywhere. So I don't know if the bottle bill's working. But anyway, my mom, from whom I apparently got more of my personality than I sometimes prefer to think, my mom used to say, oh, great, super, now we have to pay people to do the right thing. People should just recycle and pick up trash because it's the right thing to do, don't you think? So, it's not that my mom was wrong, and it's not that the folks who are a little bit sniffy about veganuary are completely off base. I think both Mom and some of the veganuary bashers have a point. And even I have some concerns about veganuary because of how many of my clients have come to me feeling like they failed veganuary in the past and that they couldn't do it and that they ended up just giving up during the month of January. And I think that's something most of us can relate to in one area or another. Whatever the challenge, whatever thing we're trying to learn or do or accomplish or create, we start out with the rules. We have the Facebook group. We subscribe to the weekly emails. We download the workbook and the recipes and the shopping list, and we sign the pledge. In some cases, we even pay loads of money. Now, Veganuary is a free program, as far as I know, completely free. But so many things we have all signed up for in the New Year's past have had hefty price tags, right? We have all done that. And then where it tends to go wrong for a lot of us, maybe most of us, is that we confuse showing up with showing up perfectly. And we confuse consistency with perfection. So we start out great. We start out going along great. We have it down. And then, of course, something goes wrong. And maybe we recover, right? We keep going. But for most of us, that wobble starts to cascade into a few other wobbles, and the experience starts becoming more negative, and after a few more wobbles, the challenge gets dropped. And Veganuary has a lot of opportunities for wobbles. I mean, even if you only take on the issue of food and beverages for your challenge, that's at least 3 opportunities a day to go wrong during the month. So I think there are many, many, many excellent reasons to join Veganuary this year. And in fact, I almost always join too, to keep learning and staying in touch and to know how to help my clients and my listeners here. But if you are doing Veganuary, or you're doing any other vegan challenge, or, I mean, for that matter, if you're doing any challenge of any kind this January period, whether it's food or fitness or writing or creating art or volunteering or in your family or relationships, I really hope that you'll try keeping this in mind, that consistency is good, but it doesn't mean perfection. Showing up is essential, but it doesn't mean perfection. Please keep going. Please do not stop and start, right? Keep going. You will learn. You will learn so much if you keep going. You'll learn almost nothing by stopping. I had an unexpected stop last night in St. Augustine, Florida. Is it St. Augustine or St. Augustine? I think it's St. Augustine. So I had an unexpected stop here last night because where I'm going is only about 4 more hours along down south, but I had already been driving for about 12 hours. So it was, that was that. I ate a salad and some hummus in the little restaurant they have at Courtyard by Marriott. I went to bed. I woke up at 5 and started putting this together, the podcast here, because my producer Charlie needs to do it today because of some realities in his life. And I'll send Charlie the sound file in a couple of minutes, and then I'll get back on the road. And don't get me wrong, these changes of plans are not effortless for me either. These changes of plans often result in me being grumpy or overwhelmed or swearing that I'm just going to give it up and quit doing the podcast and I just can't do it. This happens all the time. And now I know this is like a recurring scene in a movie. This is the part where our heroine is ready to give it all up and throw her 2017 MacBook Air into a ditch. Is it 2017 or 2007? Maybe it's my 2017 MacBook Air. Anyway, one thing I can promise you is that anything worth doing is not going to go perfectly. That's why so many of us struggle with eating and drinking and watching our screens or binge watching Netflix, because those things tend to go really well, right? Those things tend to go really well. There's so little friction. It's pretty easy. Sure, in the long run, we have some opinions about what happens when we spend a lot of time doing those things, but so easy to start and keep going. But anything worth doing and learning is just not going to go that perfectly. So please, do not make that fact an extra problem. There are really important life and death issues involved in making vegan choices and creating a vegan practice and up-leveling your diet to include whole foods. Yeah, there are some important reasons for you, the earth, and animals for you to create a vegan practice. That's why I don't want you to quit if it's hard. That's why I don't want you to quit and give up if you run into an issue or you lose your focus or you don't have the support you need. So if you need some companionship on your January journey, whatever it is, whether it's going vegan or birthing your new vegan business or getting stronger or creating something, reach out. Message me on Instagram. Email me. The links are all in the podcast notes. And Instagram's so easy to find me there at Veg Your Best. Just ask for what you want. Ask for what you need. Ask for the help you need and the support you need. I know that's really not easy for many of us. I do. That's why I think going vegan has so many unexpected benefits that cascade further along. We do start to learn how to ask for things that are important to us, especially important for women in midlife and later life. And something I would like to ask you, for me personally, it's been hard for me to remember to ask you this every week. So to be consistent about it during the podcast, please, if you think there's somebody, a friend or an acquaintance or a colleague who might like to have this weekly pep talk about veganism and change, and even somebody who thinks she could never be vegan, because that was me too, please share it. Please consider sharing the podcast with someone. Okay, kids. Okay. New year, new vegan. The process is not the same for everyone, especially for those of us in later life. So don't think that you're going to have to blow up your current life to move in a plant-based direction. Don't think you're going to have to leave your family and, change jobs to create a vegan practice. I mean, that does work for a few people, but it's not the only way. It's not. It's not the only way to make any big changes this year. And that's why I'm here. That's why I do this every week. And that's why I do it all week long. So I will talk to you in 2024 or 2024. And until next week, kids, veg your best. Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.